You're going to love this thing. It's Mrs. Nussbaum's dog, Peaches. Mrs. Nussbaum had an apartment in New York City, and she had a cute little West Highland Terrier named Peaches. And she loved that dog. But one of the problems we had in the area was that she let the dog out all the time. And one of New York's finest police officers, named O'Rourke, Officer O'Rourke, used to have to, it was on his beat, and he knew Peaches. He was like most New York's finest patrolman. He knew the family and their animals and all that kind of stuff. So he knew Mrs. Nussbaum, he knew the dog. And one day he came around the corner, and here running down the street is Peaches, who happened to be in heat, as we say. See, I live up at the veteran. He happened to be in heat, and she is being chased by a series of little boy dogs, all giggling and tittering. So he says, well, for Christ's sake, I can't have this right in the middle of my territory. It'll reflect on me. So he says, Mrs. Nussbaum, he's got Peaches under his arm, by the way, and he's standing outside the screen door, talking through the screen door at Mrs. Nussbaum, who's inside the apartment. So he says, Mrs. Nussbaum, your dog is in heat. And she looks out through the screen door and she says, heat? Got plenty of heat. She says, we got a brand new Lennox air conditioner. It's cool in the summertime. It's hot in the winter. Wonderful. No, he says, you don't understand. Your dog, Peaches here, wants to be bred. Bread, Mrs. Nussbaum says. Got all kinds of bread. Got pumpernickel bread, got whole wheat bread, half wheat bread. No, he says, you don't understand. Finally, he realizes he's in trouble. He's got to stop this fiddling around. So he says to her, Mrs. Nussbaum, he says, at the risk of violating the principles of my officerhood, he says, Peaches wants to be screwed. And Mrs. Nussbaum looks out and she says, well, go ahead and screw her. I always wanted a police dog.
Wow.